All right. Good morning. Get your coffee on. Come join me.
It's a hashtag feud. The tension brews. Opinions clash like unstoppable views. A digital brink where patience shatters with each post and each fiery scatter. Just retweets, clashes and echoes of grins. They say that the pen is mightier than the sword. Well, mine's a keyboard. So go to war if that's what makes you feel alive. I'll take it personally, but won't take it offline. It's like a drug, it's poison in my mind. My thumb is the trigger and I've got you in my sights. And if it's all part of God's plan, I'd like to have a word with him. I'm not a fan. So take me to war, I hope it makes you feel alive. I'll take it personally, but won't take it offline. It's a hashtag feud. The tension brews. Opinions clash like unstoppable views. A digital brink where patience shatters with each post and each fiery scatter. Just retweets, clashes and echoes of grins. They say that the pen is mightier than the sword. Well, mine's a keyboard. So go to war if that's what makes you feel alive. I'll take it personally, but won't take it offline. It's like a drug, it's poison in my mind. My thumb is the trigger, and I've got you in my sights. And if it's all part of God's plan, I'd like to have a word with him. I'm not a fan. So take me to war. I hope it makes you feel alive. I'll take it personally, but won't take it offline. It's a hashtag feud, the tension brews. Opinions clash like unstoppable views. A digital brink where patience shatters with each post and each fiery scatter. Just retweets, clashes and echoes of grins. They say that the pen is mightier than the sword. Well, mine's a keyboard. So go to war if that's what makes you feel alive. I'll take it personally, but won't take it offline. It's like a drug, it's poison in my mind. My thumb is the trigger and I've got you in my sights. And if it's all part of God's plan, I'd like to have a word with him. I'm not a fan. So take me to war, I hope it makes you feel alive. I'll take it personally, but won't take it offline.
All right. Welcome to my live stream this morning. I am going to stop the share. All right, so there's a few thoughts that I basically just want to get out today, and it's an observation of some of the usual players and their reaction, their commentary on what's going on with David Schroeder and also Gabe Hoffman. But more specifically, it's the source that David Schurter used against Gabe Hoffman on his blog earlier this week. And it's spun out, interesting enough, into a Laura Loomer conversation. And recently, Laura Loomer is in the news. Apparently, she's leaving the Republican Party, or is threatening to leave Trump over, I guess, an American military base that would give arms to Qatar. And now I'm really like, this just news story just broke. It's kind of coincidental that it's happening at the same time as I had featured this discussion taking place between a man named Travis LeBlanc, who is the source that David Schurter used in his defamation. I'm going to say it's defamation because it is. But, he was using this person, Travis LeBlanc, who is a anti-Semite white nationalist, self-professed. It's on his X. He's completely out open. It says really shocking things. One of the things that he said is actually in the thumbnail of this video. The thumbnail of this video is really this, and I'm going to do a share screen so you can get a better look at it. Okay. Let me see. Hopefully you're getting a good view of that. So this is something that I discovered and I posted about Travis LeBlanc, Trav LeBlanc on X. I posted this in commentary of who he is, right? This is an example of a person that David Schurter is using as a source against Gabe Hoffman. Here's what Latrave says, because it was all Jews. Okay. Laura Loomer says, how come we don't have information on who was the Discord channel Charlie Kirk's assassin was in? Discord is the same platform the Butler assassin was communicating with people. This is a Laura Loomer post on September 12th. Here you see the white supremacist. I'm sorry, that's not exactly correct. Oh, I think you could, make that assumption, but the white nationalist, right? The anti-Semite white nationalist shared her post on September 12th and commented because it was all Jews. Well, no, it wasn't all Jews. It was actually, he comes from a family that's actually MAGA. Now, that's what the real story is, right? I mean, I'm not saying it is MAGA, but his family was MAGA. And then he was having a relationship, I guess, with a trans person that was into furries. Was his roommate. So he had a conflict, obviously, between maybe the ideals that were, I'm just guessing, maybe he had a conflict between the ideals of what his family was pushing and what he really felt, and it came out in a very unhealthy way. And again, this is a tragedy. I am not, I'm sorry that Charlie Kirk, this happened to Charlie Kirk. We should have a country where everybody is able to freely express their ideas on a campus university without having the threat of losing your life. All right, I just want to point that out. Just so like the shit stirrers love to make up stuff, right? Well, I'm going to go ahead and name you guys today. The people that are participating in this Laura Loomer argument, of course, is Thomas Schoenberger. Thomas Schoenberger is the master of chaos. That's his whole thing. It doesn't matter whether there's any true information to it or whether he is actually in line of what the real argument is. His purpose is to throw out crap and disinformation and defamation about people to confuse the narrative and awaken his minions. And he has a lot of them. So one of the minions is Patrick J. Moran. I'm just going to say it because Patrick's going crazy over this Laura Loomer stuff. But I'm not going to show his Nasty Troll Media page because he thinks that he's some sort of great artist, and like he wants to make sure that not even his thumbnail that he uses of a Twitter, I don't know, pig, which is like, I guess, based on Colleen Karkar, which is, again, something else made into, that's not original idea, but he tweaks it to himself. He made a criticism today. He's like, oh, she's lurking at my page. She's stalking my page. Well, you know what? When your entire YouTube channel is dedicated to me, pretty much, even into the background, when everything is like a perverse, defamation of me, where, sometimes sometimes I'm a bee, half human. Sometimes I'm smeared with feces and urine all over me. Sometimes I have a stupid little song written. The whole thing is about me. And originally, if I can remember right, when he wanted to have dinner with me, and I met him for dinner that one time in Baldwin Park before I moved back to Fresno, he was wanting to use me as a voiceover for one of his cartoon characters that he was, was all excited to submit to Disney or Sony or some sort of company like that he was throwing like the possibility of an NDA towards me. That's the channel. That channel is what he's talking about. So I don't know. Is he thinking that he's going to like pitch something to Disney, or that Disney or Sony is going to wonder what Nasty Troll Media is? No. Unfortunately, Patrick is like an artist who every time I talked to him was struggling, couldn't pay bills, having to do odd jobs. And, now his creativity has dwindled down to making AI images of me on his community YouTube, stuff. Sporadically says, hey, I'm having a song coming out in like 2 days, and he has to put a premiere to it. You know how long it took me to do those songs that I just played right now? I spent 15 fucking minutes. That's it. So, like, not only is he, a psycho, a troll, right, for Thomas Schellenberger. Yeah, he is. He's a troll for Thomas Schellenberger. His buddies are, I don't know, Aaron Chomo Cox and, Becky, okay? Blazing Scar, who, I don't know, is really, to me, sounds like she's white trash. I'm sorry, but she sounds white trash. She sounds like she doesn't have any teeth. And, and that she spent most of her life smoking. I'm sorry, I'm a bitch today. I don't care right now, because Blazing Scars now, Thomas is going, it's obvious. Blazing Scar is saying that I'm against America and that I hate white people. No, I'm calling out people that, I don't care if you're white, I don't care what your color is, but if you're sitting there posting anti-Semitic stuff on your YouTube channel and perpetuating it, you are the stereotype of what this entire, right-wing conspiracy group is. So you know what? Why don't you sit down and get it together and stop playing into what this is right here? Travis LeBlanc. Oh, you don't like what I have to say this morning? Well, you know what? I don't really like what you've had to say about me. So, it's tit for tat. Oh, there's Blazing Scar again. What is she even doing in the mix? I don't know, 3 months ago in the summer, she was against Thomas Schellenberger, showing all these things. Here these people, they pretend to have wars with Thomas Schellenberger, and yet Thomas Schellenberger supports them. I'll tell you something, one thing that Thomas Schellenberger doesn't do about me. He does not support me, ever. And that's a sign. That's a sign on Who's aligned with him? Thomas Schoenberger never supports Jesse Davis. He never supports Paula Pavana. He doesn't back DeFango. He doesn't back Beth Bogarts. He doesn't back Gabe Hoffman. So if you want to see like where the real divide is in the equation here in terms of like who Thomas Schoenberger is going to support and reshare, because Thomas is resharing Patrick, Thomas is resharing Blazing Scar. If Thomas reshared me and was positive, I would be like, dude, don't even talk about me because I don't like you. I would not want to be associated with anything Thomas Schoenberger ever at this point. Matter of fact, I think to me, like if you were to say, well, Tere, tell me about like, the mid 2025. Who do you think the biggest villain is? And I would say, yeah, it's Thomas Schoenberger. A convicted felon on stalking charges. Who tries to tell people that he's Saint Germain. How many videos has Thomas Schoenberger released this month where it's about Saint Germain? I don't know, this year. How many videos does Thomas Schoenberger have his face cut out over Saint Germain's wig? Which I heard that's the work of All Seeing You. Nice gig, you. How you liking it? Is it interesting to you? I honestly, I don't like most of you people. And I said you people, Patrick, because you're one of those people. Like it? I hope Patrick is just fuming right now. I can see his face right now. Oh, go trigger and make some more AI images of me in a bathing suit. At least this time I was skinny. I don't know what the whole thing about me going to Florida is because I'm not leaving nowhere. I'm in school, earning another degree. Okay, so the concept now, go with me on this. Let me give you the timeline. I'm just going to leave this up here because this is the argument. This is the argument here. This is what I posted about. This is when Laura Loomer came out on David Schroeder's Stratosphere because he knew that I was adding him in my DMs with the white nationalist that he used as a source. That's why. He knew it. So David has to come in and muck it up because, he's got anything where he feels like when he realizes that his grift has gone into anti-Semitism or anything else, he's got to trigger YouTube. He's got to do a trigger video where it's all over the place. Matter of fact, I feel like even showing it again. Let's show it. Let's show David's commentary on this. We'll come back to that photo again. I'm sure you can't get enough of it, right? You can't get enough of the fact that, Laura Loomer posts about a Discord pertaining to the Charlie Kirk assassination. And then, David's source says, he says he blames it on the entire Jewish race. That's David Schroeder's source. That's the point of bringing up Laura Loomer here in this conversation. Not the fact that a few days later, because it happened the next day, where she's now saying she's leaving the Republican Party. But Thomas loves to take a story and make it about that. And then, Patrick says something so stupid. Like, for those of you who are that confused, it's about Laura Loomer doing blank, blank, blank. I'm not fucking confused, Patrick. Nobody's confused about what the argument is. And if you are, tune into this and find out what it's really about. It's about David Scherter using a source that is anti-Semitic and a white nationalist. That's what it's about. That's what it's about. So let me go to David. I believe it was yesterday's video. Let's look at it. Let me get my banner on here. It's fair use. Go back.
I am focused on these people.
You're focused on your penis.
Short lives.
David.
Wait. Shit, all I have to do is sit in my house and chaos finds me. The whole video.
Chaos finds you because you create chaos, David, and you're affiliated with one of the biggest chaos makers on the internet, which is Thomas Schoenberger. And don't tell me that he's not in alignment with Thomas Schoenberger when Thomas Schoenberger is in alignment with him and defending him. Thomas Schoenberger defends David Scherter. End of story.
Of that sheriff and his wife drinking and partying with the 15-year-old girl, and the fact that it's been reported to Shelby County, Iowa Sheriff Neil Gross, and he's done nothing, and it has pissed people off, is just yet another example of what I'm saying about the chaos and lawlessness that is happening around here. It's just another example. And of course it came to me because people in town seem to look at me as like a crusader and people are sick of it. I was talking to a friend of mine and said, it's...
No, nobody looks at you as a crusader, David. That is a figment of your own imagination. That is what you tell yourself. I certainly don't see you as a crusader. I see you as a huge, disgusting, lying nuisance, and you're a grifter, and you're about the money. And Thomas Schoenberger supports you, right? You can say that you're, everybody else is affiliated with him, but you know what? At the end of the day, who does he pat on the back but you?
Sucks because it's like I'm Batman without the anonymity and without the fucking money. So my position in this sucks, but it's just another example of the chaos that's going on out here, and the laissez-faire bullshit that's happening on a continuous basis. Johnny Dub, who I still believe, despite all of his bullshit, is Lucian Greaves, founder of the Satanic Temple.
It's highly likely that Johnny Dub is Thomas Schoenberger or somebody LARPing that is associated with Thomas Schoenberger. And I'm just a bitch enough this morning to go back and look at his recent posts where, I think there's something where Thomas admits that STGER means Saint Germain, which was his old, apparently, email that he's claiming he doesn't have anymore. And David shares it and says, oh, STJR is Lucian Greaves. Yeah, I'm probably pretty sure, David, that Thomas Schoenberger may also be pretending to be Lucian Greaves to you. But the problem with David is he doesn't take time to think about that all the emails that are sent to him in the middle of the night by Thomas Schoenberger and his group, and let's just throw like Chris McGimpsey Jones in there because he's done it too, that David is not able to discern the people that are sending him bogus information. And if he is not able to make those choices and have the discernment and the wherewithal to fact check his sources, like, hey, Charles LeBlanc is a white nationalist. Maybe I shouldn't use that as evidence against Gabe Hoffman. Instead, David says, "Oh, I'm a victim. I'm a victim. I this is them trying to use me, trying to mark me that I'm associated with anti-Semitism." That is your responsibility, David. Before you even open your mouth in front of your camera, that you make sure that your source against Gabe Hoffman, who, by the way, everybody knows has already had feuds with anti-Semitism with the people that are surrounding Thomas and you. For example, Denise Matau. And then, you know what? And Isaac Cappy, right? If you already know that there is a flame brewing in that area, you best be sure that whenever you find what you think is legitimate information proving that Gabe Hoffman is a child trafficking Nazi, you better make sure that your source isn't an anti-Semite white nationalist. That responsibility falls on you, David Schurter. And the fact that you're hanging with people that, basically the whole thing is 17th letter of the alphabet connected and MAGA. And so, the whole belief is that there's a lot of racism with that group, including the affiliation of Proud Boys. So if you want to sit back and act like you don't have any responsibility, or this doesn't smell like racial hate, then you should probably take another look at it.
You can go read the exchange, but it is interesting. After he got my reply, he sent me two things trying to associate Isaac Cappy and what Isaac Cappy was saying with me. And I have said repeatedly, when the work that Isaac Cappy and I did was more him drilling me and finding out about all of my stuff and the shit I knew about Michael Aquino and the stuff that I went through as a kid.
So did they really have work that they did together? Like what exactly is the relationship between, or was the relationship between Isaac Cappy and David Schurter? I mean, he talks about how he psychopumps Max Spears on the other side. And, he has this grand connection. But when he interviewed his mother, he couldn't even get his name straight. He called him Max Weber. So, David, I think, fabricates, a little bit too much his connections and with people. And the fact that Isaac is not here to speak out on anything that David Schurter says is another little trick that David Schurter does. He uses dead people like Lori King, like Tracy Twyman, like Max Spears, like Isaac Cappy, and makes up all this shit about them because they're not alive anymore to correct him. He uses them to his advantage. He grifts and he gets money off of it. And you know what? It is proven that Thomas Schoenberger has given him money. Chris McGimpsey Jones bought his book. They have supported David.
And his world didn't seem real to me because I'm not an actor hanging out with, that's the reason why they're always connotating me with shit. Whatever Isaac Cappy was saying, I have my own issues.
Hey, hi, Super King. Yes, thank you for your information. So let's just read this for a minute. Johnny Dubb is TS's old buddy, Brian Ward. Duality of Man. He has been a mindless minion of TS for many years, just another nobody keyboard blowhard. TBH. He has been creating videos for TS for a long time. So there you go. There you go. This is a Thomas Schoenberger production, and David is an actor in it. Aren't you?
With
David?
Gabe Hoffman. I had my own issues with Gabe Hoffman before Isaac Cappy and Fiona Barnett had issues with Gabe Hoffman. We fought before.
Yeah, because you called out your bullshit and posted it on the Open Secret 7 years ago. So what, David? People, if you are in the public eye doing what you're doing, they have the right to talk about you.
It's not like the first time I've stood up to him. It's not. It's just this time I'm sick of everything. But it's because of the child trafficking. It has nothing to do with someone's religious affiliation. Laura Loomer. They keep trying to just, I don't.
So why is he talking about Laura Loomer? Like, just out of the blue, even before Thomas posts Laura Loomer, possibly leaving the Republican Party over arms being made in America for Qatar, right? No, the reason why I think the reason why he's doing it is because I showed the receipt of Travis LeBlanc blaming Charlie Kirk's assassination on the entire Jewish race. And that's his source. So now he's going to do a Thomas Schoenberger move. He's going to throw chaos out there and just, randomly talk and trash Laura Loomer for no reason. He doesn't explain why he's talking about Laura Loomer. There's no reason right here to even bring Laura Loomer up, but he does.
I don't know what fucking Isaac was saying.
And by the way, just so you know, I don't like Laura Loomer. All right, I am not a Laura Loomer fan, so don't throw me in there as if I do, because I don't.
But let me tell you what my issue with Laura Loomer is. I find it disconcerting that woman has such influence and power over politics in America, and yet she's not an elected official.
And you know what? That's a valid statement. I will agree with David on that. But I don't know, how much power does she really have? I mean, yeah, she gets to fly in the plane with, Trump and, go to everything in his presidential debates. Like, she is a key influencer for Trump. She is Trump's PR. She is Trump's tool to publicize and cheer for Trump. That's Laura Loomer's job, right? She is like Team Trump, just like you are Team Thomas Schoenberger, David.
And I do not think that woman is psychologically well. And the reason,
and the humor in this, the audacity of somebody who really isn't psychologically well, is on disability because of it, and really should probably be on medication, is going to accuse Laura Loomer of being psychologically not unwell. Well, what is it? Scripture in the Bible, it's take the wood out of your eye before you can take the wood out of somebody else's. Get your own shit together before you're able to judge somebody else. Isn't that right, David? Because if anybody's crazy in this equation, my finger would point to you.
And why I say that is, have you seen what the fuck she's done to her face? All of that plastic surgery, I started thinking about it and thought, this whole group will go on and on and on about transsexuals while they cut and stretch and pluck and add to their faces. They don't even.
And why does he have to bring up transsexuals? That's another little hot button to push, right? Is it called transsexuals anymore? Is it trans person? As a gay man, you would think he would have the lingo down correctly.
Look normal anymore. I don't think Laura Loomer looks normal. And she's done that to herself. That's not natural. It's not like she was born with it. She's had so much plastic surgery done. And when she looks in the mirror, she doesn't like what she sees. And that's the issue that I have with Laura Loomer.
Is that the issue you have with yourself? When you look in the mirror, do you like what you see?
It has nothing to do with her religious affiliation.
So he's not concerned. Like somehow, see, you see that comment right there? It has nothing to do with their religious affiliation. So he's, in a sense, he's defending himself right now against the shit wave that he knows has flown in his direction. So he thinks, because of the fact, see, this is what I think. This is my analysis. This is not my rabbit hole analysis here, picking it apart. Because he knows, because I tagged him on X, that I've been arguing with Travis LeBlanc. He knows I threw that screenshot out of Trav's conversation saying all the entire Jewish race was, guilty for Charlie Cook's assassination. He knows that's out there. He knows he was tagged in it. Like, David Schroeder can act like he doesn't look at anything. He doesn't read anything. He doesn't care about anything I have to say. Anything that happens on social media, but I guarantee you he has looked at all of it. And that is why he is talking about Laura Loomer right now and putting down her plastic surgery. He's got, out of the blue, he's got to add and talk about Laura Loomer's plastic surgery. And that's what really bothers him, not her religion or her race. Well, why do we need to know that, David, if you don't know that you're in the fucking hot seat right now with using a source that blamed the entire Jewish race for Charlie Kirk's assassination? That's hardcore, David. Huh? Let's go back.
And that's the issue that I have with Laura Loomer. It has nothing to do with her religious affiliation. But I think that a woman who is unhealthy has an undue amount of influence on things, and I don't necessarily think that's a good thing.
What about a gay man who's unhealthy that has things, like sits around and says what you say? That's crazy. What concerns should people have about that, David? If we want to label people. Long dream.
I am focused on these people because I'm
because I'm a grifting creep. That's why I focus on these people, because I'm a grifting creep and I get paid by Thomas Schoenberger. That's why. Because I'm part of a 17th letter of the alphabet group of people pushing their narrative and going on their shows and being backed and supported by them. That's who you are, David Schroeder. So, here's this one. Here, I'm just going to go through this again, just real quick. Here's where it starts.
That's how it works.
So now, after, like the days afterwards, now he's a victim. He wants to get out of it.
Sorry about that. I'm going to have lunch with you because I just made a pizza. I said yesterday.
Yeah. A guy who pushes satanic ritual abuse conspiracies eating pizza. I just have to say that again.
That I wasn't going to do a live unless stuff happened. And of course, stuff happened. First,
yeah, you found yourself tagged in a bunch of dialogue on X. That's what happened. With pertaining to you and an anti-Semite.
Well, Doug, what name do you want me to call you as Johnny Depp? You went on and on about how your name is Brian, but what you sent me today was named John. You can't keep your fucking name straight. What name do you want? God knows if I asked you about your pronouns. So the new game, the stuff that they sent me yesterday on Twitter, I think is valuable information. But the dude is
the stuff that they sent me on Twitter, which is X, right? He's talking about Travs LeBlanc right now. That's his sort. The stuff they sent me. Who sent you? Johnny Depp? You say they. You say it plural. The stuff they sent me. Thomas? Johnny Depp sharing Thomas shit to you? Third party? Is that it? Who is they? Who is they that is connected to the white to the white nationalist? Who's they? David, I got a good idea who they is.
Is an anti-Semite, and that was the whole key to him sending me stuff. So I'm pretty sure that dude.
Why are you taking stuff from Team Thomas Schoenberger? Huh? David?
Is directly connected to Gabe Hoffman. Because they want this whole David Schroeder is an anti-Semite. That's how they got Isaac Cappy stuff down.
No one said you are an anti-Semite. We're saying that you're using an anti-Semite as a source against Gabe Hoffman, who has had anti-Semitic harassment from this group that you are a part of, that you're participating, that group that backs you, that group that, had a show called LTV, who happens to be a Holocaust denier. That group you're affiliated with. That group supports you. That group seems to have that sentiment. Isn't that interesting?
They said that Isaac Cappy was an anti-Semite and got all of his stuff down, and then he was dead right after. They killed him right after.
He wasn't dead right after. He wasn't dead right after. He went on. He continued for a long time. David, look at. I always it's interesting how what his expression is and what his eyes look like when it freeze frames. Look, what does his eyes say? He's out of it. He's, he almost has, what is it? I gotta remember it right now. Adam Shift. He has Adam Shifty eyes almost. He's almost getting bug-eyed like Adam Schiff.
I'm not anti-Semitic, and I blocked the dude after his conversation today. Oh, stop engaging with your enemies. Fuck that. I've derived so much information fucking dealing with these.
And that's interesting too, because I think that was something that I don't know. I almost thought I saw what's his face. Okay, so let's stop this here for a second. So let's get back to this this Laura Loomer thing. That group seems to come from the Godlike Productions Forum. And that's an interesting statement. Hi, Affable Zombie. I remember that group. Yeah, I could see where that is. Or maybe a lot of them might have hung out there. That was kind of a cool, it was has a lot of things that you can maybe dispute or argue, but it had a lot of cool information when I was really getting into all of it. Yeah. Godlike Productions. It's still there, right? So let's look at this again. Why does this matter? Why does this matter? Why does that matter? Well, it matters in a lot of different ways, because it pushes a button that is happening in the United States. There's a lot of tension. We have tension right now going on with what is going on in Gaza, and also the fact that the UN has declared that Israel is committing genocide on the Palestinians. And there was 5 different criteria of how they made this determination, and the UN has determined that 4 out of the 5 criteria when a country is committing genocide has been met. So, just so you know, it's kind of interesting because you read something like that, you go, oh wow, the UN just declared that Israel is committing genocide, but there's a whole process in dealing with that. Like saying that or announcing that just in general, it has to go through a lot more processes. It has to go through the inquiry of justice. It has to be it has to be a resolution. This is just basically a commission report saying that we've concluded this. So for anything to actually really happen, for example, arresting, Netanyahu, or, charging people with war crimes, those things come much later. This is just something that needs to be dealt with. Now, back in July, the United States, the UN was trying to pass a resolution to take it into the inquiry of justice to have it voted on. I hope I said that right. And it didn't pass. There were a few countries that did not vote in favor of the resolution, and one of those countries was the United States, by the way. Okay, so and that has to do with Trump. So Trump voted against doing anything about genocide and in Palestine. So anyway, that being said, this is a really big heated issue. And so, when you are talking about, things like Charlie Kirk, and he is a Christian nationalist, not a white nationalist, but he's a Christian nationalist. And then you bring in Israel or Jewish people or all this stuff. That's all defamatory. It's heated. It gets people aggressive. It's not okay. And when you blame an entire race of people, an entire group of people, that is a they-them mentality. I'm okay, you're not okay. Thomas Schoenberger does all the time. It's they, them. If you watch how Thomas Schoenberger and his minions speak, it's always pointing to a group that's guilty. And obviously, I'm in the guilty group. I'm in the group that I'm in the them group, according to those guys, right? And this is the same thing. This is the same thought process that is happening with Travis LeBlanc. He says, because it was all the Jews, that is a they, them pointing finger type of mentality. It's not that, as the human race, we have had genocide happen over centuries. There was genocide on the Indians here in America, attempted genocide. There was genocide in Rwanda, in South. There's been genocide in the Holocaust, Armenia. It is something that we talk about, we have movies about, we get educated about, we get educated on the atrocities of murdering an entire group of people and trying to exterminate them. It's pretty much inhumane and not acceptable. So I don't see where any of this is okay on any level with David Schroeder or Thomas Schoenberger in his defense, because he can't stop from talking about it and distracting the conversation like he tries to do on his YouTube community page that he actually pays bots to like for. What a joke. If you read Thomas's, his comments, it sounds like another sock account, kissing his own ass. It's the same wording. It's the same thing. He's, oh, Maestro, you're so wonderful, blah, 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 blah. I mean, geez, if you guys really think we're stupid enough that we can't see through that bullshit, we do. And it's really syrupy and disgusting. It makes me want to puke when I read it. His own self-grandiose acknowledgement of himself secretly and trying to make it look like it's public, like this stuck up sort of, I'm a maestro, we talk about the Renaissance, I know a few French words. It's so gross. I have the cicada puzzles. All right. No, you know what? Still today, when you research Cicada 330 and you see who is the owner, still today it says whoever created the puzzles is unknown. Yet, here we have Thomas jumping up and saying, oh yeah, it's me. It isn't. And if it is you, I'm really disappointed. Because I can't put you in something brilliant and intellectual and amazing like that. I don't think you have it, Thomas Schoenberger. You don't act like you have it. People that have it have a lot more grace, and you don't embody it. Oh, you're going to sue me for this? You're going to sue me? That's opinion, Thomas. You can't sue opinion. And you know what? If you want to argue whether you own something or not, you better freaking prove it. Because I'm saying I think it's suspicious, and I'm not the only one who said it. There's the only thing, you know people by the fruits of their labor, right? And what I mean is what do you churn out online? What are you creating? What is substantial? What are you doing? Well, the most thing that Thomas does is spend his time, getting his buddies and his minions and, sending stuff to David Schroeder so he can attack people that he can't stand. What Thomas spends his time around is driving around in the desert and making videos and talking about how he's coming after people. He spends his time putting on X how he's going to come into my town and find all the Fresno officials that obviously he knows and let them know what a horrible person I am and how I shouldn't have any work possible coming my way. What does Thomas do? Oh, he spends his time emailing the dean of my school so that he can tell them what an awful journalist I am and what, this and that and blah, blah, blah. No, you know what, Thomas? You've completely stepped over your bounds of what is okay. And you are a convicted felon on stalking charges. So you don't even have a good record. You have a prior history of being a bully, a stalker, and a thug, basically. I don't know where you think your shit smells good, because it doesn't. Liber Primus is aliens? And don't forget that Thomas has ties to Turkey, does he? It's not. It's aiding and abetting the enemy if it is what it is. Well, Thomas is definitely kind of like an interesting, guy. There's a lot of legendary. I'm going to say it almost goes into the legendary status of what Thomas Schoenberger, who might Thomas Schoenberger be, going back to, the Wonderland murders, right? There's some interesting things that, people have, said, or, and he does seem to have some interesting associations. Like, who is Thomas Schoenberger really? Is he a government asset? I would go with that. I would go with the fact that he might be a government asset, a government misfit that they use in psychological warfare and targeted harassment on the internet, on political, who they don't want speaking. Because this is political. It is. How do you guys know me? Right? Like, why am I a point of interest for you? Well, it's because I was on Revolution Radio and I saw everything go up around me and how it was politicized and made into propaganda. And I spoke about it. That's why you don't like me. Ain't that right, Thomas? Did I get on your radar somehow, or was on your radar because I was a guest on Lift the Veil? But now you want to say that that's a deep fake. See, that's where Thomas screws up, because it's not a deep fake. Thomas has a lot of stupid things, a lot of stupid lies that are fact checked. It is proven that how many times did Thomas Schoenberger lie in a day? I'd be interested to tally that, because I think that he has more lies than he has honesty coming out of his ass. Well, I'm sure the part of the CIA is compromised, is helping Thomas, or was helping Thomas early on. I wouldn't be surprised. I would say that would maybe be a possibility. Something has to be going on, all right? It's too organized. It's too, like, there's always a hub of people that work under him. Like there's like little clusters of minions that come down below Thomas. It's too organized. It's too, there's a method, there's a pattern, there's a way that they do it. And there's a reason for that. So yeah, it's intentional. It's not just random people all angry at like me or Jesse Davis or Daniel Dowd. It's people that have been basically sick. They're like the people in their YouTube channels, like Hoax or whatever. They're like rabid dogs. They're like dogs that have, rabies, and they go sick on those people on the internet. Maybe they're a little twisted in the head. They're a white nationalist. They're like this guy, Trey LeBlanc. So why is this interesting? Why would Thomas want to like throw it off? Oh, good for him that Laura Loomer is trending in the media right now, so he can like cover his stench that he's involved with his little buddy Johnny Dub in getting David to actually use an anti-Semite white nationalist as a source against Gabe Hoffman on his blog. Somebody tipped him off. Somebody in that group is connected to Travis LeBlanc. And I'm going to say it's highly likely that it's Thomas Schoenberger. Want to know why? Because our entire thread, and I showed it on my last video. Matter of fact, I think I might just tag this in there. When I show it, maybe I'll just go ahead and show it. The entire thread, he talks about Thomas Schoenberger. You know what? I'm going to just go ahead. We've got time. I'm going to recap that part of my video that I did the other night and show you the dialogue and how he mentions Denise. I mean, why is this white nationalist mentioning Denise Mattow and arguing with me about Denise Mattow when it's about David Schroeder? He didn't hardly mention David Schroeder once because David Schroeder already trashed him, see? And then he uses Thomas Schoenberger's court case as an argument against Gabe Hoffman. Why is he even mentioning Thomas Schoenberger at all in this? Because Thomas Schoenberger is associated to him. Thomas Schoenberger is connected to a white nationalist. I'm gonna pull my ex up. Matter of fact, let me do another song, and then I'm gonna find it. It's probably time to take a little break. I know lately I've just been kind of into this one.
When I die and they lay me to rest, I'm gonna go to the place that's the sweetest bed. in the sky. That's where I'm gonna go when I die. I die. I'm gonna bite the snack that I love best. Prepare yourself, you know it's a must. Gotta have a Twinkie if you wanna trust. Just say, Lordy, I'm so spread.
All right, I'm back and I found it, and I'm going to go ahead and play it. I just saw that Daniel Dowd is streaming right now. I think he's streaming about about all of this too, which is like he's getting like the morning is full of talking about this. So let me go to my own video, and I'm going to show you. I'm going to recap the Twitter feed that I showed, and so let's get started here. Twitter. So I posted this. I said David Shorty is using an anti-Semite, Trave LeBlanc, as a legitimate source against Gabe Hoffman, when clearly he is an anti-Semite against Jewish people. It is hypocritical for Schroeder since he accuses his targets of being Nazi pedos and alt-right. So here's his pin post. If some misfortune should befall me in the near future, it will most likely have something to do with my ex-girlfriend Kelly Morgan Summers having faked her death, and it will involve Jews. Okay. So he's saying if some, okay, so, and then this is like his just a Trav trying to make his way through not Trav's world, the only non-fed and right-wing internet. Anyway, okay, so all right, so I shared that. I posted this, David Schroeder eating pizza. I said David Schroeder eats pizza, accusing others of being a Nazi satanic pedophiles. You can't make this shit up. Okay. Then, here, so just a Trav trying to make his way in a not Trav's world, the only non-fed on right-wing internet. Okay, that's what it says. So here's where it starts. I post that. Where is it? Maybe I have to go to the reply. So the post that I just scrolled through past really quick is part of the post that I showed you where Travis is accusing of the entire Jewish race for Charlie Kirk's assassination. That really quick, I just skimmed it. Okay. Hope he didn't take it down. It's like, I'm going to show your stuff. And he like all of a sudden deletes all of it. Here we go. All right, yeah. Here it is. And as you can see, there's several posts of it. It's several posts in this thread of that, which they know I posted it. Oh yeah. This is all of it. I hope you can. And those court cases, that's Thomas Schoenberger court cases. Okay. This guy, like, why would this guy bring in Thomas Schoenberger as evidence in an argument with me if he isn't aligned or doesn't know Thomas Schoenberger? And then when I question that, he denies knowing him. Like, why would you share log documents of somebody that you don't know and try to make an argument out of it? It was total bullshit. See it. I'm just scrolling down to like the bottom of it. Oh, yeah. I mean, it went on. It went on. Okay, so here we go. Let me see. I want to make sure you see this. I think that's it. Yeah. Okay, so I say LeBlanc means the white in French. And here he goes, correct. This is what he says. This is what he says to me on October 8th in response. I say, I'm unsatisfied with your evidence and being biased against Jewish people. The fact that you openly claim that you are a white nationalist suggests that you may be motivated to smear Gabe Hoffman's reputation on the sole basis that he is Jewish. He says, correct. I am an anti-Semite white nationalist. However, if Jewish satanic pedos and child sex traffickers had infiltrated the white nationalist community, you would expect someone from that community, for a researcher to it, to be the first person to notice it. N'est-ce pas? And then I'm replying. He says, no, I've talked to Denise and I'm well aware that she has issues. But this begs the question, why does Gabe Hoffman feel the need to bully the mentally ill? These are people who pose the actual threat to him whatsoever. And these people pose no actual threat to him whatsoever. And he's threatening lawsuits to destroy him. It's sadism. I said, oh. Okay, so why is the white nationalist now bringing up Denise Mattow in this argument? Like, why is this even happening? You spoke to Denise Mattow. Like, wow, the stink isn't very far, is it? The anti-Semite who called my job to smear me as grooming students who was written up by campus police and sent a cease and desist by the college. She also telephone harassed me, but now you think drumming up a mental illness excuse is going to dismiss her. Nice try. You're only revealing who you are and digging yourself further into the hole. Then he says, Gabe Hoffman, okay, where you would be within your rights to sue her for that. Gabe Hoffman, a 9-figure hedge fund manager, ordered that Denise is to go through groveling humiliation ritual or else face destruction because she called him a filthy Jew. And then I said, he should have called her out as well. Exhibiting hate speech against a protected group on social media is not allowed across the board. She absolutely deserved to be removed from the platforms that deleted her accounts. Then he says, you don't find anything. Oh, I don't know, psychotic about the script that Gabe wanted her to see. And I said, where's your proof that his lawyers dropped Hoffman for this? You need to prove your claims. Otherwise, this is hearsay. And then I said, so he's saying that his basically, and I can't show all of it because you know how like X is, but he said something like, I'm responding to the fact that he said something about like that Gabe Hoffman dropped a lawsuit against him. His lawyer automatically dropped him because of his abuse towards Denise Mattow. All right. And then he says, and I said, prove your claim or zip it. And then he says, don't you find anything? Oh, I don't know, psychotic about the script that Gabe wanted her to read. And then, he sends me, I said, what's your proof? And he sends me like track Mirage. All right. He sends me track Mirage. And I'm like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. Like, this is your proof that this happened, that Gabe, a lawyer came, like, completely dropped his lawsuit because he was going to humiliate, Denise Mattow for saying anti-Semitic remarks against him. So So I say, I laugh, LOL, Track Mirage. This is totally biased conspiracy blog. This source lacks credibility. How lame and disappointing. Try again, Mr. White Nationalist. Okay, so then let me click onto this. All right, I'm going to show you. I don't know if you can see that. I might have to I'm going to have to reshare it. Hold on. I'm going to get back to that. Okay. And I'm going to share. Here's what he's sharing me. This is his receipt to our argument. And what is it about? Gabe Hoffman versus Thomas Schoenberger, document 7478, case management plan withdrawal of Picasio as attorney. On August 27, 2024, September 1, September 7, September 4, 2021, document 747576, 7778 were filed respectively in the 15th Judicial Circuit in and for Palm Beach County, Florida, in the Gabe Hoffman versus Thomas Schoenberger lawsuit. And so it shows these different dockets, and that's supposed to mean something. That's supposed to show me that what Gabe Hoffman did and how, and apparently like his attorney like dropped his case against Thomas Schoenberger over, I suppose. All right. So let us, go back to what's happening on X. So he gives me this like Gabe Hoffman, Leper Moraz shit. And then I said, you heard blah, blah, blah. We all hear things. It doesn't make them facts. You don't know anything about real reporting, do you? I'm being a snob, right? Which I can be. I have a degree. And he says, so definitely one lawyer dropped Gabe, citing irreconcilable difference. And I've heard that his law firm dropped him after the Denise Matau letter. If that is true, that would be too. And so I said it was hearsay. And I said, I'm inclined to stop a stupid argument with you because you don't have a legitimate one to give time to. I have articles to write because I am a working journalist, and it's evident from our conversation that you aren't. And I did. Okay, I'm being honest with him. And he says, and then he shows me more, and I'm commenting, still hearsay. No one who made it through law school would come out of it with the belief that calling someone a filthy Jew met the legal parameters of defamation. It might be hurtful, it might be unkind, but it's absurd to suggest it's defamation by law. I think Gabe wrote the letter, and I said, still hearsay, an opinion. Okay, so and again, and I will address this later on. In a sense, he is correct in terms of you're talking about constitutional law, okay. And if you're talking about like, what is the definition of hate speech? Calling somebody or making a anti-Semitic remark is not against it. It is covered by free speech. It's like when you incite violence with what you're saying. That's when it changes in terms of the Constitution. But when you're talking about social media and it wasn't, the only Denise's comments about Gabe Hoffman weren't just anti-Semitic. She was like spreading rumors, and she was defaming him and making insane lies about him. She just happened to include her anti-Semitic sentiments towards him. So when you're looking at that in terms of the lawsuit, that's a whole different type of case. But he's not being really clear. He's just going, well, it's nothing wrong with it. And he's like, like as if like she's a victim, because you see in his mind, in the white nationalist mind, he feels a superiority. He has a moral superiority in his mindset that that to be even criticized of being hateful and calling somebody unfairly blaming an entire race on an assassination. He doesn't get that. He feels entitled. Therefore, Denise Matau is full within the right. And how dare Gabe Hoffman, who is a Jewish man, make her apologize in a request letter, in a retraction letter for a public apology. Otherwise, he's going to sue her. See, and you have proof of nothing. And then I kept saying it, like he goes, if he has definitely been dropped by one lawyer, I'm inclined to give the benefit of the doubt that claims that he's been dropped by more than one. The letter to Denise contains many errors of law that cannot even paralegal would make. And I'm saying, you are not talking in facts. You think this and you think that. It means nothing. And then he says, this pertains to withdrawal of the lawsuit with Thomas Schober, not Denise Mattel. Yeah, so he shows me. So I say, I finally looked at the tracking mirage, and I said, this pertains to withdrawal of the lawsuit with Thomas Schober, not Denise Mattel. And it does not give the reason why. What you are misleading this argument. Are you defending Schoenberger or Mattel? See? And then he says, allegedly Gabe Hoffman's law firm dropped him, and after that email to Denise, which makes one wonder if Gabe Hoffman wrote it himself. I know he's been accused of impersonating lawyers several times. Apparently now Gabe Hoffman is a lawyer impersonator, not just like a hedge fund manager and a Nazi satanic pedo, even though he's a Jewish man. He's also impersonating being a lawyer. Wow, Gabe Hoffman is really able to multitask. So anyway, it goes on. It has multiple lawyers drop him, citing irreconcilable differences. And I said, your sources do not address to prove your claims here. My question is, why is a white nationalist defending Thomas Schoenberger? Your white knighting isn't helping his credibility with his lawsuit against Professor Dilley and MSU. Yes, I said it. On X, I wrote it. So fucking sue me, Thomas Schoenberger. So anyway, he says, and I said, this document shows Gabe Hoffman dropping the case with Thomas Schoenberger. It has nothing to do with Denise Mattel, and it does not provide the reason why the case was dropped. Big deal. This means nothing. So I don't know if I click onto it, if you're going to be able to see it. But yeah, okay, good. So that he's showing me this. Okay, big deal. This means nothing. It has nothing to do with Denise. Okay. So then he says, I have no idea who Thomas Schoenberger is. Now he has no idea who Thomas Schoenberger is. But he's sharing Thomas Schoenberger's lawsuit as a receipt in his argument about Denise to me. And I don't really even know now at this point why Denise Mattel was even in the fucking conversation, but now she is. Because I'm really talking about David Schroeder and the fact that David Schroeder's trying to use a white supremacist, means or, like post conversations about people that might be linked together as proof to David Schroeder that Gabe Hoffman is this Nazi satanic child trafficker, even though he's Jewish. All right? And I'm saying, why is David Schroeder, who calls everybody else Nazis and satanic child traffickers, including like Michael Aquino and everybody else, why is he taking information from an anti-Semite white nationalist? I find this to be very interesting, hence I'm doing a live stream. So, he says, I have no idea who Tom Schoenberger is. Bullshit. You just, if you don't know who he is, why the fuck do you have his lawsuit between Gabe Hoffman? I personally find the QAnon Pizzagate seem to be mostly crank and generally unserious. I just saw someone who also has some issues with Mr. Hoffman and decided to share my research with him. All right, so then he starts calling me a liar. You'd be better off saying the document is fake than lying about what you're saying like you're doing. People can read what it says. Now it's too late for you to change strategy because you're already showing yourself to be a liar. He calls me a liar. He says I'm gaslighting him. Then he brings this one. Okay, so let's look at this. Okay, there's a second example of lawyer dropping Gabe Hoffman for irreconcilable difference. Only 6 months earlier, in addition to Jim Pisaccio, Gabe Hoffman had another lawyer named Kelly Cronenberg drop him client signing Eric. So here's this. I read it. It's nothing of what he says. All right, but if you want to go back and look at it and screenshot it, knock yourself out. I still want to go over it, but it's not what he says it is. Okay. It's him leaving the case. He's dropping the case. This is, I'm showing this. This is his conversation to Laura Loomer. And this is where David ended up talking about about Laura Loomer today. This is what this is based on. David Shooter says he doesn't watch anything that I'm doing or pay attention to any tweets or anything like that. But this is where I don't know why he's talking about Laura Loomer. He talked about Laura Loomer today. I think this is why. So okay, and you have to realize that day, I mean, like, okay, so let's look at the new, like, Laura Loomer, Qatar. Okay, so I'm just looking it up. The stories broke a day ago. 1 day ago. So that was the 11th. And this stream is Friday night. So the story about Laura Loomer broke basically yesterday. So we were talking about Laura Loomer before this news came out. So what they did was, like, let me show you. Let me show you how it broke. Okay. It's yesterday's news. I, for some reason, thought it was like 3 months ago, and I was wrong about that. So a day ago, this is a news story. All right. Let's look. How many days ago was this video with David Shooter about it that I just played? Let me look at it. Stop here. Like, you got to pay attention to the timeline, right? It's this one. And he did this video 3 days ago. No, that's the anti-Semitic one. I got the wrong one. Hold on. The Laura Loomer one is 2 days ago.
I'm focused on these.
So 2 days ago, he's talking about Laura Loomer, and the article about Qatar happened yesterday. So this is Friday.
And pluck and add to their faces. They don't even look normal. Find it disconcerting that woman has such influence and everything. Before Isaac Cappy and Fiona Barnett had issues with Gabe Hoffman. We fought before. It's not like the first time I've stood up to him. It's not. It's just this time I'm sick of everything. But it's because of the child trafficking. It has nothing to do with someone's religious affiliation. Laura Loomer. They keep trying to. I don't know what fucking Isaac was saying, but let me tell you what my issue with Laura Loomer is. I find it disconcerting that woman has such influence and power over politics in America, and yet she's not an elected official. And I do not think that woman is psychologically well.
So why is David talking about Laura Loomer out of the blue 2 days ago? Well, it's because of my post that I tagged him in and the conversation that I had with his white nationalist anti-Semite informant that gave him bogus stuff. That's why. Okay, I'm going to play a little bit more of this. Oh, wait. Before I do that, let's take a look at Thomas Schoenberger's, like, let's take a look at Thomas Schoenberger's, I want to get Thomas Schoenberger's timeline of I want to get Thomas Schoenberger's timeline. Yeah. Go. I'm sorry, I accidentally bleeped out of my own thing. Hold on. Okay. I'm going to pull him up right here. Because I'm pretty sure Thomas did all of his stuff. Yeah, it started yesterday. Then Thomas got into the conversation. Thomas piggybacked David on a Sophia Music page. Okay. And now he's backing Liz Crokin. The hack cannot even muster one single leak on Twitter X. She's simply being paid to irritate whoever's paying. No one's paying me, Thomas. Nobody. The first rule of ambush journalism is spell my last name correctly. Oh, and here, the Haga Sophia. This is actually the King's card. It has nothing to do with Sophia, but it's another jab at me. Now he's backing Blazing Scar. Here it goes. 22 hours ago, Thomas posts this. Good riddance. Breaking. Laura Loomer announces she's no longer supporting the Republican Party after Trump administration agreed to establish a Qatari Air Force. And then, and I'm not going to show his, but you can look at him at Nasty Troll Media. He posts all over the place. Yeah. What we're really talking about is this, not about the fact that David Schroeder is using a receipt, probably like backed by Tom, probably given to him by Thomas Schoenberger, if not like actually directly, but indirectly through Johnny Dub, who happens to be Brian somebody. Here, let's scroll up here. What did Sewer King say his name was? Brian Ward. Johnny Dub is TS old buddy Brian Ward, duality of man. He's been a mindless minion of TS as for many years, just another nobody keyboard blowhard, TBH. So, hey, so Thomas is, probably passing an anti-Semite as a resource to David Schroeder. Yeah, I'm just gonna try to go down here. Apple Zami says, the pro-Palestine narrative did its best to blame Israel as being Nazi when though the people were becoming Palestinians after WWO were fans of Hitler and aided the Nazis who ran away. Okay. The point is that what would I want to say to you guys on a Sunday morning about this? What is my feeling about it? My main concern is the whole genocide thing. I think that we need to take responsibility as a human race and stop it. I don't care what country it is. I don't care what the circumstances is. To do the they them mentality, we need to be educated and stop going they them and pointing fingers and going these people need to be off the planet. We're all human beings. We all deserve to be alive. And it's really disappointing that we've come to this point of humans living on this planet this long, and this is where we're at. That's what's really disappointing about it all. And then you got some person like Thomas Schoenberger that's, basically, if anybody's hired to do anything, it's him, because he's an asset to somebody to create chaos on the internet. And it's really obvious who he is and what he might be involved with. And he circles himself and he has associates who are anti-Semitic and white nationalists. And he's permeated it all through everything. With David now, like you guys all have egg on your face. All right. There's no way out of it anymore. You have been exposed as to what you're doing and what kind of hate you are spreading on the internet, and you need to be called out for it. This is important. Speak out. This should not be tolerated. And on that note, I'm going to play a few of my songs that I created this morning about this very topic.
It's a hashtag feud. The tension brews. Opinions clash like unstoppable views. A digital brink where patience shatters with each post and each fiery scatter. Just retweets, clashes and echoes of grins. They say that the pen is mightier than the sword. Well, mine's a keyboard. So go to war if that's what makes you feel alive. I'll take it personally, but won't take it offline. It's like a drug, it's poison in my mind. My thumb is the trigger and I've got you in my sights. And if it's all part of God's plan, I'd like to have a word with him. I'm not a fan. So take me to war, I hope it makes you feel alive. I'll take it personally, but won't take it offline. It's a hashtag feud. The tension brews, opinions clash like unstoppable views. A digital brink where patience shatters with each post and each fiery scatter. Just retweets, clashes and echoes of grins. They say that the pen is mightier than the sword. Well, mine's a keyboard. So go to war if that's what makes you feel alive. I'll take it personally, but won't take it offline. It's like a drug, it's poison in my mind. My thumb is the trigger, and I've got you in my sights. And if it's all part of God's plan, I'd like to have a word with him. I'm not a fan. So take me to war. I hope it makes you feel alive. I'll take it personally, but won't take it offline. It's a hashtag feud, the tension brews, opinions clash like unstoppable views. A digital brink where patience shatters with each post and each fiery scatter. Just retweets, clashes and echoes of grins. They say that the pen is mightier than the sword. Well, mine's a keyboard. So go to war if that's what makes you feel alive. I'll take it personally, but won't take it offline. It's like a drug, it's poison in my mind. My thumb is the trigger and I've got you in my sights. And if it's all part of God's plan, I'd like to have a word with him. I'm not a fan. So take me to war, I hope it makes you feel alive. I'll take it personally, but won't take it offline.